All right. Well, hello and welcome. This is Ask the Expert series session session number 2 and counting. And our in-house expert today is none other than our Director of Zallevo Labs and a very close friend of many of us. This lady is so dynamic. We were just talking, I'm sure her ears were buzzing earlier. Anybody who knows this lady knows she has a deep, deep passion for living life and her family and for these no compromise, life-changing nutrition. We're honored, such an honor, Kjersti, seriously. I know we say this a lot, but what an honor. And we have so much deep respect for how you approach life, as I mentioned, but also, and thankfully, how you approach any endeavor you set your mind to along with your team. And obviously it all started in this context with our founder, Brandon Broadwater, Dr. Messina, Dr. Harper. We want to honor where honors due as well. And Kjersti, I'm assuming if you listed all the team responsible for these products, we would be here all day.
Yes, we would.
Yes, we would. So please welcome, Kjersti.
Thank you so much. I'm super, super excited to be back and answering some questions. I'll do my best, but yes, I mean, Robert, it is so much fun to be able to work under the umbrella of Zallevo, and the team list is long and lengthy. There's a lot of people that are involved when it comes to bringing these amazing formulations to all of your homes, from concept to formulation, manufacturing, quality testing, quality control, quality assurance, the individuals that make our packaging components, the individuals who, help to move that Zallevo shake into those pouches. I mean, it is quite the process. There's a lot of hands on deck, and we're just so grateful for the entire team. So proud of each and every one of them. And we only pick the best. We only pick the best when it comes to individuals that work with us. And it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is exciting. Speaking of picking the best in people and endeavors, and ingredients. So that's a beautiful segue into the first question, Kjersti. So here's the first question. It's from Sue. Pardon my pronunciations, Miss Sue. It's Sue Bobbin, I think. Sue Bobbin Stark. So Sue Stark, great lady. So she says, and here is just, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I keep hearing, okay. The basic question is regarding protein full spectrum shakes in particular. She keeps hearing that they're not all created equal. So, and when people ask me what's different about this particular formulation, Sue says, Kjersti, I know we have some of the purest protein, whether it be the whey or the plant-based, but I don't really know how to explain that succinctly, which is the key. So how would you answer that?
Oh, this is such a good, it's actually more basic than one would think. When you think about what the earth has to offer, we have vegetation, we have plants that we can eat, that we can harvest, that we can extract goodness out of. And part of those plants are plants that have high quantities or high levels of protein, and whether it's rice or it's pea or chickpea, any of the lentil varieties, any of the plant varieties, I suppose, in basic grains, you can extract and condense down these plant proteins into a concentrated form. And so I guess for plant-based, it all begins with the crop. It all begins with the soil. It begins with how things are cared for in the growing process, in the planting, growing, and harvesting process. And then from there, how are those plants then taken care of through that process of condensing down those proteins to create a beautiful powder for us to be able to consume. Every step of that from the beginning of the planting season to the finished goods in your Zallevo Ultra 30 plant-based shakes, it all matters. So sourcing is a very, very critical component to high quality plant-based proteins. And then the same also applies with dairy. So when you're looking at dairy proteins, obviously all dairy comes from cows, and where the cows are born, where they're raised, how they're fed, if they're pasture fed, if they are fed corn, if they are given antibiotics, steroids, growth hormones, these types of things feed into the quality of the cattle, and also to the quality of the yield of their milk supply. And for us here at Zallevo, we choose to source out of New Zealand. New Zealand is known as a living water island. The amount of precipitation that it receives every single year is profound. It experiences all 4 seasons. Much of the island is coastal, but it does have a lot of mountainous areas that capture snowfall and experience the 4 seasons. And there is a huge culture and cooperative of many, many dairy farmers on New Zealand as a whole. And these New Zealanders, they care for their land. There are strict farming practices where they don't use herbicides, pesticides, insecticides. They don't give their cows growth hormones. They don't give their cows steroid shots. They allow them to graze on pastures 365 days a year, because those coastal areas that are up off the ocean, they don't freeze. So there's constant growing every day of the year. So the only time that these cows do not get to graze 365 days a year is if one falls ill and they have to move it into the barn and take care of it. And that's a rarity, because these cows are so healthy. With that, they are milked according to season and rested properly. So there's a humane aspect to this on how they're actually milking these dairy cows. With that, once the cows are milked, then that milk goes through that amazing proprietary patented process that allows the curds to separate from the whey, and then all of the other components to the whey protein that takes that whey from its whole state down into a concentrated state and down into an isolated state. And when you are filtering out these incredible proteins through this microfiltration process, then it has to be done properly so that those proteins aren't damaged in the process. And we've taken special care of that. And it's the only place that you can get protein that's made quite like this is New Zealand. So we pay quite a bit of money for our whey protein, but we do it because we want the best, and we are a no compromise company through and through, because there's a lot of cheap dairy out there, and we just aren't interested in it. And you can taste it and you can feel the difference too. So not all protein shakes are created equal. The sourcing and the care is absolutely very, very important.
Wow. Yeah, we could do, for those watching and hearing this question and the answer, Kjersti, just beautiful answer. Kjersti, we could do a series of calls each an hour long for the next month and not get through what makes our shake so unique. So
Yes.
Great succinct answer there. Thank you. And thank you, Sue, for the question. Now we go over to Anita Connor. Anita's a sweetheart. Anita's been on an amazing transformational journey, by the way. Wow. Anita says, and this is a beautiful tie-in to that previous question, more on a practical side. And you've been asked this several times already. Speaking of learning more about the shake and sharing it with others, are we going to have a product video specifically for the whey shakes? And she said, I would use it every day if so. And I think I know the answer, but I'll let you answer this question.
I know. And I have been asked and this has been a top request from the field. Somehow we don't have a whey video. And somehow we are so busy. Somehow we are so busy. And if you guys knew what we were working on, you would understand why there's no whey video right now. So it is coming. It is coming in the month of December. So that's the exciting part of that, so of that request. So pass the word, it will come in December. We apologize for the delay, because I know a lot of you have been waiting for that whey shake video. But if, like I said, if you knew what was going on behind the scenes, you'd be like, all right, forget the video. We can do without for just 1 second. But yeah, we promise it's coming to you next month.
Wow. I got to raise the roof on that one. So if you're on this chat live, raise the roof if you're excited about that. So yeah, thank you for that. Awesome. Great answer, and very much needed. Thank you. And again, you're so right. For those watching this, if what Kjersti is referencing is that they've been hard at work. We can't say what's coming, but there's some major stuff coming down the pike to round out and bring what we're offering to even a greater level in January. So, okay, Allison is, I believe, on the line here. Allison Beasley Northern, she's a beautiful lady over here in the Dallas, Texas area. Okay, what is the purpose of the sunflower oil powder and our shakes? And also alongside of that, I'm sure you'll answer it, but how is it processed?
It's cold pressed. Sunflower oil is a beautiful oil. What ruins any kind of nut or seed oil is if you heat it. So as long as it's cold pressed, it is a beautiful source of fat. And so we use the sunflower oil powder as a part of our fat profile. So between that and MCT oil that comes from palm fruit, it is incredible sourcing. There's 2 different sources that are very mainstream on the MCT, by the way. So kind of side note here, but I know this is going to come up with people listening to this. There's 2 major sources, and it's coconut or palm. And we chose palm because palm doesn't have an allergy like coconut does. Coconut is now one of the 8 main allergies known to humans. And so it needs to be declared on packaging components now because it is a tree nut, even though it's very popular. So we chose the palm to avoid all allergens, because that is one of our main product specifications. So that's the MCT oil. And then the other component to the fats is the sunflower oil powder. And why sunflower over, let's say, I don't know, any other kind of oil? And it boils down to stability. Sunflower oil has incredible shelf stability. And what we don't want is for you to receive a pouch of shakes and have that oil rancid taste. Like flax is incredibly unstable. Olive oil hasn't yet demonstrated its stability yet either. But as soon as we can move into those types of technologies, why not? Why not embrace that? But right now, as of right now, that the most stable fat comes from sunflower. So that's
we
it.
use sunflower and palm, you said. Okay.
Yep. Yes.
And
MCT, the sourcing of the palm oil is it's a concentrated extract of the medium chain triglycerides out of the palm fruit. And by the way, there's palm fruit and palm seed. You don't want palm seed oil, you want palm fruit. So just a clarification on that one as well.
Yeah, and that was one of my personal questions. I've heard that the palm wasn't good, but you just clarified the difference.
Yes, you want the fruit, not the seed. Yep.
Ah, interesting. Palm fruit oil. Okay.
And palm fruit oil, when concentrated and extracted out, yields a beautiful level of C8 and C10, which are specific types of properties to the MCT, and they're very, very anti-inflammatory within the body. That's why you're looking for MCT oil in the first place, is you want the healthy fat, but you want to have fat that is going to be anti-inflammatory and not inflammatory as many fats are.
And that was a question add on to that. I would like you to maybe very quick, succinctly address in the context of those who really don't know much about MCT versus other types of oils. Can you paint us just a brief picture of the context of why MCT over other types of fats?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is it is again a beautiful source of energy. So when you're looking at different sources of energy, your two sources are fats or carbohydrates. And so when you're looking for fuels to be higher up on your fat content and lower on your carbohydrate content, it teaches the body to burn fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates for fuel, although you need both. Now, let's say for those of you that are listening in right now, let's say your fat content in your diet is much lower and your carbohydrate load is much higher. If you were to just all of a sudden switch the two and increase scads of fats and drop your carbs, chances are you're not going to feel too hot. And the reason is because your body isn't used to that level or that quantity of fat, and the exchange of those two fuels. So the rule of thumb is that if you know you're lacking on your good fat consumption, slowly start to increase it week after week. Don't just jump straight into the fire. Slowly start to increase your fat, and also slowly start to lower your carbohydrates, especially for athletes. If athletes are wanting to run their bodies with fat for fuel more so than carbohydrates for fuel, then that's a slow exchange too. And I've read studies where it's taken anywhere from up to a year and a half for athletes to transition, because if their bodies typically are so lean that they don't have fat storage on their body, so they are completely reliant on fat and very much carbohydrates, especially for competition and intense training. So but going back to MCT oil, it's just a beautiful type of fat that contains specific components such as phytosterols that really help to drop inflammatory response in the body. It also lends to cardiovascular health. And the other thing too is, don't be freaked out with fat consumption. Eating fat isn't going to make you fat unless you eat too much of it. So slow trickles of fat throughout the day is the key. Also, another misconception is that if you eat fats, that your cholesterol is going to go out of whack. And that is another myth and misconception, that if you're eating the right kinds of fat, such as MCT or healthy, beautiful fats that are mediocre on the saturated points, then you are doing your body good. 80% of the brain is fatty acids. The rest is protein structure for the brain, but so the brain is mostly made up of fatty tissues. Same thing with cholesterol. In order to get high levels of good cholesterol, you got to eat healthy fats to bring those levels up. And if you don't eat healthy fats, not only could you have low good cholesterol, which by the way puts you at risk of cardiovascular disease, but you could also have the wrong types of cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. So fun story, if you focus on eating fats, you can literally bring your good cholesterol up and drop your bad cholesterol down and get a good point spread of about 75 points if you're focused. So that's the goal. But MCT oil is a beautiful oil that lends to pretty much every facet of health in the body.
Wow, that was definitely an in-depth answer to that question. Allison, I'm sure you took notes on that, and you'll be sharing that with your client who asked. And another question from Allison, great questions, Allison. She said, simply put, what is the difference when people ask us all the time between stevia and zero cane?
Well, both are fermented. Stevia is also a fermented product, but it is created with the stevia plant, the stevia leaf, whereas ours it's made with cane, and it's made through a different process with different strains of yeast. And through that fermentation process with that yeast devouring the carbohydrate load of the sugarcane, in its aftermath leaves this super sweet, almost pre-digested juice with 0 calories. So we'll filter out all of the fibers and filter out that fermented juice, so to speak, and then we'll concentrate it down into a powder form. And it is 300 times sweeter than table sugar, than your standard good old sugar cane. And with that 300 times concentrate, you need a heck of a lot less. It's made through a natural process, through God-given fermentation. And so it's natural, just like stevia, but without the weird aftertaste. Because stevia, to me, monk fruit, you know, a lot of the sweeteners out there, they have a weird aftertaste. So lucky for us, cane does not.
Yeah, great point. And just an add on to that question. So why not just eat pure cane and not stevia? Carol's asking that. So I'm assuming when burning it, not quite understand the question, but I think it's the pure cane is the pure cane sugar, Carol, versus stevia.
Well, pure cane zero is the name of the actual material that is created through that fermentation process. So a company owns that. The company that created the process and patented that process, they own that material. And of course, Zallevo procures that as the sweetener in all of our master formulations. So, and if you were to just go with pure cane sugar, obviously that's carb loaded. There's the carbohydrates are still present because that's just cane juice that's been extracted from the cane and then powderized. So hopefully that answers her question.
Yeah, that definitely answers the question. So it just, again, the zero cane and the market name is the pure cane. Again, that's just it's just a healthier version of a sweetener.
It tastes better.
And it tastes much
better. Yes. Yeah. Stevia has a weird aftertaste and many people don't like stevia. Same with monk fruit. So when you're looking at 0-calorie natural sweeteners, you know, you've got a handful that are very dominant in the industry, and cane is by far the best. And we were one of the first nutraceutical companies to implement it into our master formulations, into our formulas. And you will be seeing more and more of it, trust me, as we move through the years, because it will most likely replace stevia, because stevia is kind of the stepchild of it all, so to speak, in the sense of the newly created and patented pure cane zero.
Okay, and one last addendum to that, just bear with us for a minute. Is there any, Carol brought up in one of the calls you mentioned maybe even a counter effect to the autophagy cleanse and stevia. Is there any connection there?
No, not at all, because what stops autophagy in its tracks are carbohydrates,
right,
and proteins. Carbohydrates and proteins will stop autophagy in its tracks. And in burn mode, you do not have carbohydrates, you do not have added sugars, you do not have proteins. So there's a few acids in there, but those are non-protein amino acids. But they help with cell regeneration and so on. So those are nutrients for the cells to be able to do their jobs better without disrupting that autophagy phase.
Okay, fair enough. I think we answered that question clearly. So thank you, Allison, for those two. Allison's coming again in a moment. Before we do that, the other question came from Scott, who happens to be on the line. Hey, Scott, you guys are awesome. Scott and Deb Lucas. Scott says, can you speak to the, pardon my pronunciation, liposomal maybe, and bioavailability? I don't hear anyone talking about it in the marketplace other than Zallevo, and it was exactly what I was searching for. So can you speak to that particular process, if you will? What is it?
Yes. Well, let's see. Can I share my screen?
Yes. Yeah, you're
okay. Let me get this. I want to get this slide open first. Hang on, because for those of you that are visual learners, you will be able to see what I am referring to here. All right. Let me know when you can see that.
It's coming up, Kjersti. Okay, we can see it now.
All right. So, and of course they're not blue, but just for the sake of visual stimulation, here we go. So liposomes are little spheres, they're little bubbles that form, and I'll explain what forms them. And if you take a look at at one of these little guys, okay? One of these little fatty lipid globules. And it looks like they have two little legs, right? It's like a little fat belly with two little legs. Those are called phospholipids. And phospholipids are found in plants. They are in abundant in plant matter. And when you can extract these phospholipids, by the way, they're also in milk. Phospholipids are in milk. You have dairy phospholipids and you have plant phospholipids. We choose plant just because we can kind of isolate down a few different types of phospholipids that we choose to use. One of them is phosphatidylcholine, the other is phosphatidylserine. And we use these two phospholipids in our formulations. And the cool thing about this is that these little phospholipids, they will start to form themselves in any kind of aqueous state. So whether you take 2 capsules of Fortitude 85 and you drink it down with water, as soon as those capsules open up and your nutrients inside of those capsules spill out into that aqueous state, these little phospholipids that are in there all of a sudden start to find themselves and form these spheres, and they will sphere and form this little bubble, this little liposome surrounding the nutrients that you just consumed all of these phospholipids with. It's kind of almost like sealing or enrobing those nutrients into this little bubble. And then as this actually moves in out of the stomach into the intestine and permeates through the intestinal walls, these little spheres will transport to cells. And they will bump up against a human cell. And because they're made out of fat, the outside of a human cell is made up of a fatty layer as well. And so the fat merges between the fatty layer of the cell and the fatty layer of the liposome. And then all of a sudden, because of that little bump in marriage, that cell will intake those nutrients that's inside of that sphere and absorb it just like a helium balloon. Just like you suck the helium out of a balloon, it goes into you and the balloon shrinks down. That is exactly what happens. Phospholipids are exceptionally healthy. They are exceptionally important for cognitive health, for brain health, for your nervous system, for your cardiovascular health. So they are just fatty particles basically that come from plants or dairy, but we choose the one from plants. So hopefully that gives you a really good visual. This is kind of a slice through of a liposome so that you can kind of see maybe like what it would look like on the inside with those nutrients being transported to a cell. So look at it as a nutrient shuttle express going from the mouth to the stomach to the human cell, and helping to protect these nutrients as they're moving into the body to the cell.
So these are, in essence, so we don't use that term a lot. We say fat versus lipid, but when you hear lipo or lipid, it's referring to something made of fat. In this case, it's little balls of fat with some little legs on them that surround these nutrients. Interesting.
Yep. So fat, lipid, lipo, all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. It's all fatty matter. Yep.
Interesting. And that occurs, and pardon my next question, but just from a practical layman's term, that whole process begins to happen in the stomach before it reaches the gut.
Yes, or in your glass. So like when you're pouring burn mode into water, into that aqueous state, or you're pouring E-Vibe into an aqueous state, and you give it a good stir, liposomes are already starting to assemble in your glass, and then you drink it in. For the sake of the Fortitude 85, that's why you drink it with water. Don't just take 2 or 3 or 4 of those capsules and take a tiny little swig of water. Drink it with a full 8 ounces of water. So you've got that water that's moving in with those capsules. Those capsules will break open within 30 seconds in the stomach and release out into that aqueous solution. And
just that begs a question, please pardon my kind of simple layman's question. So why isn't our Fortitude in a beverage powder as well? Why is it a capsule?
It doesn't necessarily need to be. It's just for portability. Yeah,
Okay.
portability. And trust me, Robert, some of those herbs and botanicals that are inside of Fortitude 85,
Ah,
you don't want to taste those on your palate. You
that's
want to
probably
keep them inside of the capsule because they don't taste too hot. A lot of the botanicals that we use, like for instance, our apple, here's a good example, our apple phenom that's inside of eVibe. We had to work really, really hard to use natural flavors to flavor that one drink to cover up the potency and the distaste of the apple phenon, apple polyphenols. And so that was a labor of love. And imagine that times 10 inside of the Fortitude 85. So some things you can put into a beverage, others you just simply can't because of taste.
okay. That seems to be the most direct answer, is that because of the taste factor and the potency of the adaptogens. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Great answer there. Yeah. So if we have time for this, to squeeze this in, I know we're basically up against the 30-minute mark, but how about we may even do a part 1 and part 2 at the next Ask the Expert. But here's the next question, again from Allison. Allison, these are awesome questions. She would love the summary. That's why I say maybe a part 1. She would love the summary of the main benefits for a woman who's pregnant.
The main benefits for someone who's pregnant.
Correct, with our Zallevo formulations. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so when it comes to taking supplements during your pregnancy or during lactation, when you're nursing, always consult your OBGYN, your healthcare professionals, and just to run stuff past them and get their opinions as well. Because as much as we'd love to tell you, you can take this or that, everybody is independent and very, very individual, and you need to do what's best for you. But with that, the Zallevo Ultra 30, it's a food. It is a food. It's a very concentrated source of proteins, fats, and the right types of naturally occurring carbohydrates, minerals, trace minerals, and all of your vitamins. So all 72 minerals and trace minerals, all of your 13 vitamins. You have digestive enzymes. You have a beautiful probiotic called Bacillus coagulans. That shake is a complete meal replacement, and it's food. So for you to be able to have a shake a day or 2 shakes a day along with your meals is a beautiful thing to help with your body's needs for all of those nutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, as well as if you're pregnant, think about it, whatever you eat or whatever you are is whatever your baby is going to take in the formation and the creation of that little body. So meaning if you don't eat properly, that baby will take from you. It will take the calcium and the materials from your bones to create its own bones. It will take the proteins that are needed from your lean tissues so it can make its own lean tissues, and so on and so forth. And so that's why it's critically important to make sure that your diet is dialed in and that you're consuming proteins and fats and carbohydrates and minerals and trace minerals and all of these components that allow cells to form and to replicate and to regenerate and to grow this little human being within a 9-month period of time. And when you can have a diet that is fulfilling with all of those types of nutrients, then it feeds into a beautiful growth for the baby, but it also keeps your body sustained and functioning optimally as well. So definitely take advantage of the Ultra 30s. It doesn't matter if it's plant-based or whey-based, whatever floats your boat. When it comes to the probiotics, you better believe it, those biomes are critically important, because whatever the mama's microbiome is, that microbiome passes to the baby. Those bacteria that are in and on the mama and that will be passed to baby through delivery, through the delivery process, as well as through nursing from the surface of the breast and inside of the breast milk, all of that bacteria is cultured and grown because of what you're eating and what you're drinking and what type of probiotics you're ingesting. So to bolster and to have a robust microbiome means that your baby too will also have a robust microbiome and therefore will have a very beautiful, healthy immune system. as far as E-Vibe, it's beautiful antioxidants. The only thing to caution against is obviously it's got 140 milligrams of natural caffeine from guarana seed. It's sustained release of caffeine, so you're not going to get these weird spike jitters. It's just kind of like this beautiful floating energy throughout the day. If you're used to caffeine, chances are that'll be an approved product for you. If you're not used to caffeine, for you to jump into something like that while nursing or pregnant, I wouldn't recommend it. And then when it comes to the Fortitude 85, this is the biggie, because we know that pregnancy and being a mama is stressful. It's stressful because, you know, you're up all night after the baby comes, and it's this and it's that, and it's diaper changes, and it's a lot. Let alone obviously the carrying of the baby during pregnancy. The only caution against the Fortitude 85, it has a tremendous number of botanicals in it that are designed for an adult, mature body. It is designed for, those herbs are designed for a body that has already gone through puberty, that it is in its adult state, that it has all of these glands that are producing all of these hormones in the body. An unborn child does not have that development, that level of development yet, nor when they're infants. So my advice is to err on caution when it comes to taking Fortitude 85 while pregnant and nursing, and then hop straight back up on that once you're done nursing, unless your healthcare professional thinks otherwise. But again, that's going to be a decision that needs to be made between you and your healthcare professional. Last but not least is the collagen 300. And yes, because you're creating this little baby, right? This baby is growing and developing, and those collagen, those tripeptide collagen molecules can absolutely feed into that baby's growing process. Keep in mind that collagen is everywhere, even in your brain. There's collagen that's the scaffolding components to your fatty brain. And so to provide beautiful amino acids and tripeptides, such as what's in collagen 300, is of huge benefit. There's collagen scaffolding inside of the density of your bones. So again, when that baby is being formed and is being built and growing, again, wonderful benefits there. But again, when it comes to all of the master formulations, just run it past your healthcare provider and do what you feel is best.
Yes. So the foundation is the full spectrum Ultra 30, the shake. Obviously, collagen has so many benefits. It's innumerable. And then the biome, yes, it was fascinating hearing that the mother's biome is the biome of the little one. So that is huge. And then E-Vibe, depending on if you already have coffee or Diet Coke, whatever you have, hopefully not Diet Coke, but hopefully if you already have that, if you're already introducing caffeine, you're already, pick a healthier choice. So
That's
so
right.
Kjersti, awesome. And we are out of time. We could keep going on. We have more questions, although we want to keep this succinct as we discussed. And so please tune in. Kjersti and I will get together and put our next Ask the Expert. If you're on this call live, we want to thank you. Let me stop and put this back in gallery mode so we can, in a moment, we're all going to unmute and just say thank you or love you to Kjersti. If you're on the live stream, we can feel your vibes and energy. We love you. And then we are going to acknowledge one of our favorite core values, force for good. So if you're on this live right now, go ahead, unmute your line so we can thank Miss Kjersti. 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Love you, Kjersti.
Thanks, Kjersti. Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Absolutely. Love you too.
You're
all right,
amazing.
here goes
Bye-bye.
our core values.
Wow.
Scott and Deb are already over there. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Force
For good.
For good.
All right, love and light, guys.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Thanks, Kjersti. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.